education building, all the classroom, primary, secondary school, university under water.
The devastating effects of 2022 monster flood
destroyed a lot of houses, even loss of lives, and so many people lost their farmlands.
All the house collapsed.
They use millions bill upstairs just like that, all of them, and so you go for the water.
It affecting all these areas.
You
You can see because of the flood now, the road has been abandoned over a year now. We cannot pass this place.
My 12-year-old kid was on his way to school when he was swept away by the flood. We didn't get to see his body until the next day.
This is the story of many residents of the affected states. In the wake of an unprecedented natural disaster in 2022, the resilient people of Delta, Bayelsa, Kogi, Nasarawa, Anambra and Jigawa states in Nigeria find themselves grappling with the aftermath of a devastating flood that ravaged different parts of the country. Overall, 64% of households were affected by the flood, with impacts ranging from livelihood, housing, food sources and access to basic services such as health facilities and schools. In general, the impacts of the flood were significantly higher in rural areas, 74%, compared to about 40% in urban areas. This is the heart-wrenching story of communities torn apart by an unforgiving flood. A chronicle of their struggles, resilience and unwavering hope as they strive to rebuild their lives in the face of overwhelming adversity.
Children don't go to school. You have to find a way to relocate them to a special center. Because you can't do anything. The whole place is submerged. When I mean submerged, I mean that the whole building, the whole infrastructure is underwater.
Nasarawa State was not spared. Known for its picturesque landscapes, Nasarawa State suffered its share of the 2022 flood disaster, with over 361,000 Nigerians torn from their homes and their lives uprooted by the fury of nature. The numbers speak of a human tragedy that unfolded in the blink of an eye. The flood waters spared no mercy, engulfing 8 out of the 13 local government areas affected, 5 of which were totally submerged.
Almost every year, we used to have a flood. It's a very heavy flood coming all the way from this area down to this place. No any other place that has been channeled to this area. The level of water, the rain, is really like this.
Toto, Doma, Awe, Lafia, Obi, Karu and Akawanga were all badly hit, as lives, large hectares of farmlands, households and infrastructure were totally destroyed, leaving the people with nothing to survive.
It destroyed a lot of houses and even loss of lives, and so many people lost their farmlands.
The riverine communities where the river Niger passes through actually affected them.
We have about 200 houses here, and no any channel where you can enter, except this one. We have some students that they are going to school from this area to that area. So if it is raining, they can't be able to go to school because they can't be able to cross to the water.
They affect me very well. I even lost my wife by then, and I was born the children.
A tale of horror, world shattered, hopes adrift, yet their strength remains unbroken. Like the story of Master Warrant Officer Moshuda Yodakbo, there are similar pathetic stories of the horrors of the disaster for many others who lost their entire livelihood.
Any rain at all, we go through my house. If rain starts now, we tell them, say, there's no sleep deeply because we don't know what may happen.
In Kogi State, many lives were forever altered by the disaster, as not less than 9 out of the 21 local government areas were affected, with over 160 communities totally submerged. A resident of Kogi community, Elder Okoronkwo, a symbol of resilience, recounts the disaster, which he said surpassed the horrors of 2012.
It really affected me. Look, all my load got waste inside this water, both my tenants by that time.
His words echo the collective anguish felt by the victims in terms of physical pain, shattered livelihoods, severed social connections, and the indescribable toll on their spirits.
No money to go and build another house.
Ibaji community, with a population of around 50,000 residents, was the worst hit, as 100% of this community went underwater.
Most of them have been shifted from their home, especially those who are in the tenancy. Those tenants, they have no place to stay, they have been displaced.
Within the wreckage lies the weight of the sufferings of the people.
If we even check the house where they down, so all the house collapsed.
When the flood starts, there is no way to pass here. We normally follow back road to go south, and the back road is a long journey.
The wood that I arrange in my field, the flood pack it away.
It affects so many places in Ogidi, especially around the Kabiyesi side. When rain is falling, no motor can pass here.
When it's raining, we find it difficult to enter our houses or go outside.
According to the Bayelsa State Emergency Management Agency, the flood waters engulfed the entire 8 local government areas of the state, killing 96 Nigerians and displacing over 1,300,000 persons, causing immeasurable damage to homes, farmlands, and vital infrastructure.
As a state, we are cut off from Nigeria because the East-West Road is our main entrance, our main gateway out of the country. So that road was destroyed by the 2022 flood.
Schools, hospitals, marketplaces, graveyards, and hundreds of hectares of farmlands, all washed away by the flood.
Individual buildings and over 70 households have been displaced.
Whatever they come, it don't too much for us. We dey inside the house because of water. We make enter woman be in the house.
Many things were spoiled, even our house now fall.
We are rendered homeless. The erosion too affected the community.
In Anambra State, the deluge was no stranger. Here, the flood waters surged with an unprecedented force, leaving behind a trail of destruction and heartbreak. Felix Ikechi, a local government spokesperson, shares part of the tales of despair.
So this little portion is where you can find land in the entire community and the bridge. Yeah, people were also living on the bridge. People live there, sleep there on the bridge.
Over 300 communities in 6 local government areas of the states, swallowed by the relentless waters.
The flood destroyed the crops on our farmland. Our properties too. Everything got wasted. Now we are homeless. The flood displaced us. We had to run to Osiji village for shelter.
Over 120 deaths recorded and thousands displaced, as if nature itself had turned against its own.
A place like Anambra was usually totally submerged. The water will take over the entire local government. Their farmland will be badly affected.
Each time they release the water from Kanji Dam, it floods into the country and is connected through the river Niger. And you know Anambra is also connected through the river Niger, the river Benue. And from there it gets into all the rivers in Anambra.
According to data gathered in the Nigeria Flood Impact and Recovery Survey report, majority of affected households, about 50.9%, experienced the flooding between September and October 2022, while 42.7% of the disaster was recorded between July and August. The data also shows that 41.1% of the households experienced floods lasting 1 to 11 days, while 39.9% of the households experienced floods that lasted for 32 days and above. Jigawa State, a land where rain was once a source of life, also found itself in the grip of a merciless downpour. Heavy rainfall turned into a deluge, sweeping away homes, livelihoods, and the hopes of many in these once tranquil communities.
The water coming from this area is too much. It can destroy all the houses made by mud around this area. So this is what happens each and every year, and mostly it happens in the night, when people are sleeping.
The flood waters rose, swallowing dreams and drowning hopes of the people. Loved ones, cherished memories, and the very essence of existence, all lost to the flood. Amidst the chaos, the voices of the victims emerge, bearing witness to their shattered lives. Each testimony reveals tales of loss of sources of livelihood and loved ones.
This is my grandmother. 6 months ago, during the raining season, there was a heavy downpour causing flood, and our house fell on her, and she has been paralyzed ever since.
The flood destroyed 3 of my houses, and it also affected our farmlands. My house was destroyed, I just rebuilt it. Flood destroyed the community mosque. Up till now, we are still trying to rebuild it.
The flood destroyed our homes. There was no shelter for my family.
Farmlands reduced to ruins and homes swallowed by the relentless tide.
Even our economic have gone down because we cannot take what we farm or what we have to the market because there is no good road.
Due to the last year's flood, all our farm produce got destroyed. We lost everything.
Findings indicate that across the 6 states, on average, about 57% of households reported experiencing adverse impacts due to the 2022 floods. Among those affected by the flood, 54.6% of households were severely affected, while 34.2% experienced moderate effects, and the remaining 11.7% reported minimal impact. The most common impact on the agricultural livelihood recorded include destruction of crops, 67.9%, loss of personal properties, 56.1%, loss of food stock, 52.6%, destruction of farmland, 42.3%, and loss of farm assets, 40.0%.
Mostly they lost their crops, their farmland, some of them were destroyed. And houses also were also destroyed. These people are really managing. They employ several means of coping strategy to see that they survive.
Once vibrant lands of tranquility and prosperity, these communities were forever changed by the 2022 flood disaster in different parts of Nigeria. The main type of impact recorded on non-farm businesses include total loss of businesses, 52%, followed by physical damage to businesses, 47%, downsizing of businesses, 38%, revenue loss, 37%, and increase in operation cost, 28%. The main type of impact on jobs include overall reduction in wages for 69% of households and loss of job for 49% of households. Overall, 49% of the households reported to have had their main source of food affected by the floods, with households in rural areas 60% more impacted than those in urban areas, 23%. The floods disrupted agricultural activities, resulting in reduced crop yields for 94.9% of households, increased food prices, 19.9%, and diminished access to nutritious food, 84.9%. The flood waters brought with them a myriad of challenges: overcrowded relief camps, acute shortage of food, shelter, water, and essential supplies. And the outbreak of epidemics due to contaminated water became grim realities faced by the people of these communities, with close to 1 in 4 of the respondents reporting that there was an outbreak of diseases in their communities due to the floods, with waterborne diseases, 89.3%, being the most common.
Because of the poor water they drink during the flooding, there's no source of water. It's that same flood that people, you can't imagine it, they drink it, they cook with it, they bathe with it, and you know what follows? Diarrhea for children. Nursing mothers are always in trouble when the flooding comes. Don't talk about new babies. It's a very big challenge for the health sector.
In the face of these glaring adversities posed by the disaster, the people of these communities refused to surrender. Local volunteers, along with the support of the government and partnering agencies like the United Nations agencies, the Nigerian Air Force, united in a collective effort to provide aid, relief supplies and medical assistance to the affected communities. Though assistance came through from a few donor agencies, public-spirited individuals and the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA), the interventions were inadequate, considering the widespread devastating impacts the flood brought upon these lands. In terms of future risk mitigation measures put in place, studies show that about 62.9% of households reported not putting any preventive measures to mitigate future floods, while 25.5% indicated construction and cleaning of drainage as measures to check flooding. As for food shortage mitigation following floods, data show that 61.8% of households reported that they do not have enough food to eat during the next flood season, while 61.7% of households reported that they do not have a safe place for evacuation in case of future flood events. Despite the valiant efforts of the state government in the different states, the interventions remain insufficient to address the magnitude of this devastation. The urgent cry for help echoed and continues to echo through the halls of power as these broken communities call upon the federal government and international agencies to provide the necessary support for the recovery of the states. As the flood waters recede, the people of these different communities continue their journey towards rebuilding their lives. As results show that 4 in 10 households, about 40.9%, were displaced either temporarily or still displaced at the time of the report due to the 2022 floods. They, however, remain resolute in their determination to rise above the ruins, to reclaim their land, and to rebuild their communities stronger than ever before. Community organizations are being empowered to perform waste management operations, unclog sewers, and open up blocked waterways throughout these communities. According to reports across the affected households, 44.8% of the household had reported that they had recovered from the impact of the 2022 floods. Respondents from urban areas reported higher rates of recovery, about 52.5%, compared to rural areas with 41.5%. Through the tears and the heartache, a new spirit of hope emerges, reminding us of the indomitable human spirit that can triumph even in the face of nature's harshest blows. Findings show that 89.6% of households interviewed did not receive support during the flood, and it was also observed that about 2% of the household had at least one household member that recorded either loss of life or injuries due to the 2022 floods. Some of the key mitigation strategies recorded include early warning systems and flood preparedness, including through community engagement, targeted awareness campaigns for high-risk communities, as well as infrastructure and land use planning. Some of the key recovery strategies recommended include flood risk financing and insurance, development of a post-disaster recovery and rehabilitation plan, focusing on ensuring food security, safe evacuation, disease control, and livelihood support. By proactively addressing these facets, these communities can fortify resilience against future floods, mitigating potential devastation and safeguarding the well-being of the people.